Good morning, students. Good morning to all. Now, I welcome to the economic session. And last day, we have studied about the types of utility. And also, I gave the study portion the same topic, the types of utility. Have you studied? I hope you all are studied very well. Even though just I will remind you the types of utility. So in these types of utility, first we have studied the farm utility. Now, have you remember the farm utility? So an individual consumer obtains utility from a goods and services only when it is available in a particular form. Okay, when all the raw materials are converted into the finished product only, so the consumer can able to consume that commodities. Okay, so after having the full form, okay, for example, now so many of the for the purpose of producing any of the cart or bench or desk or chair, we need wood. The wood is the raw material for the furniture item. Okay, so after assigning all the woods in the proper way only, so the wood will get the full form. Okay, after attain the full form as a desk or chair or bench only, we can consume. Okay, so all the raw materials after assigning as a full form only, the utility will be created. That utility is called as farm utility, right? Next, time utility. Okay, so the utilization created by the humans must be consuming with the proper time. Okay, then only that person can able to get the full satisfaction. Okay, for example, now you are being very hungry and you need some amount of food. Okay, but today fully if you are not having the food, and tomorrow if you are getting the full meals, you will not get the full satisfaction. You cannot get any utility. Okay, and some of the patients are being in the need of some unit of blood. Okay, but in the same time, if he cannot able to get, and after death of this patient, if he is getting the blood, mean it is not providing any utility for that patient. Okay, so that is called time utility. And the particular time, so the consumer must consuming the product. Okay, then only he will get the utility. That is called time utility. Okay, so next the place utility. So on the basis of place, the consumer or the human want to attain their wanted satisfaction. Okay, that is called place utility. Okay, so all the consumers will get the satisfaction when they are consuming in the place of market after gathering the commodities in their hand only. Okay, for example, the different type of the foods or the fruits or vegetables are produced in the different places. Okay, but when the consumer will get the full satisfaction or utility, mean after purchasing that commodities and when they are going to use only, he will get the full satisfaction or the utility. Okay, even in the commodities is coming on the way, no one can satisfied and no one can utilizing from that commodities. Okay, when the consumer going to purchase, and the time of purchasing only, he will get the satisfaction and utility. Okay, next service utility. Next, services. Okay, so the services also will be consumed by the consumer when he has the proper time. Whenever he has the need of services, that time he can able to consume. Okay, so suppose if he has not able to consuming the services on the basis of time, it is not providing the utility. Okay, suppose whenever the person's activity will become as a service to other people, that is called service utility. Okay, now the profession of the doctor is converted as the service to the patient. Okay, that time the patient will get the service utility. Next, possession utility. Possession utility also will be like a place utility. Okay, suppose if we want to consume any of the commodities, we must possess on that commodities in our hand itself, then only we can consuming that commodities. Okay, now if we want to drive a car, we must possess as a own in our name, that time only we can get the utility. Okay, simply if we want to see that car in our auditorium or in of the in this exhibition, it is not providing the utility. Okay, next, knowledge utility. Knowledge utility means, so the person, so all the people, so all the consumer must have some of the knowledge to operating the commodities what they want, that time only he can able to get the satisfaction or the utilization. Okay, now if you want to ride any of the car and you also able to purchasing the car and you have purchased that car, but in the same time if you don't know to operate the car, this car will not providing any of the utility. Okay, suppose if you want to get the full satisfaction or the utility from that car, you must know to operate the car, the knowledge about to operating the car, then only you will get the utility. Okay, that is called knowledge utility. Okay, next we have studied some of the measurability of utility. Okay, so the wants of the persons or the utilization, if you want to measuring the utilization, we can measuring in the subjective analysis only. Okay, already I said, if I ask you how did you enjoy the movie, you will say yes, I will enjoy it too much or more. Okay, but we cannot measuring the utility. Okay, but even though some of the utility is measuring in the form of another one of the unit, the unit name is called utils. Okay, and util is an measurement of utility. Okay, for example, if we can able to measuring the utility, so we must have one of the measurement unit, for the purpose of measuring the utility. Okay, suppose if we able to measuring the utility, we must have one of the unit of measurement. Okay, that measurement is called as utils. Utils, utils. Okay, the measurement of utility is called as utils. The next we have studied about the price. The price is the value of the good expressed in the term of money. Okay, whenever we want to purchase any of the commodities, the commodity must have some of the value. Okay, in which form we can measuring the value of commodity in the terms of money only. For example, the value of 1 gram gold is 5,000 mean the value of commodity is measuring in the form of money. Okay, the value of money is 5,000 rupees. Okay, so price is the value of goods expressed in the terms of money. Next, market. Normally we will consider in the market where the buyer and the seller into the exchange of goods and services. Okay, normally the market is considered as a place where there is the buying and selling activity is undertaken. Okay, but in economics it represents where buyer and sellers enter into a exchange of goods and services over a price. Okay, by having a price, if the buyer and seller enter into the exchange of goods and services, that place is called market. Okay, even if there is no particular place, so we can considering the phenomenon as a market. Next, cost. So cost refer to the expenses incurred to produce or acquire a given quantum of good. Okay, if you want to purchase any of the commodities, otherwise if your producers want to produce any of the commodities, he must spend some amount of the money to purchasing the commodity or producing the commodities. Okay, so how much amount is spending to produce or purchasing, that is called cost. The cost of production or cost of purchasing. Okay, so some of the expenses incurred to produce or acquire a given quantum of good is called cost. Next, revenue. Revenue is the income obtained from the sale of goods and services. Okay, so the seller will selling some of the goods and services. Okay, and the producers also produce and earning more profit. Okay, the how much of the amount of income is earned by the sellers or the producer is called revenue. Okay, so the revenue is the income obtained from the sale of goods and services. Okay, today we will study about the another concept that is called equilibrium diagram. Okay students, today we will study about the equilibrium situations. Okay, first the stable equilibrium. First we will study about the equilibrium. Equilibrium situations mean the equal situations in the market. Okay, normally in a market, the buying and selling activities, both the buyer and seller involved to purchase and selling. Okay, so when the seller are selling the commodities and the buyer are purchasing any of the commodities, both the buyer and the seller have to be in the equal situations. Equal situations mean both peoples will not be in the loss. Okay, the both people also have to get some of the satisfaction. Okay, the buyer also will not be worrying about the loss, and the seller also not worrying about the loss. The both buyer and seller will be get some of the satisfaction and utilizations. Okay, otherwise the demand and supply also will be in the equal situations. Okay, for example, just see in this x-axis, quantity demanded are mentioned. In this y-axis, price of the commodity is mentioned. Okay, so and the curve, SS curve is also called as a supply curve. Okay, the curve SS is considered as a supply curve, and the curve DD is considered as a demand curve. Where the supply curve and the demand curve meets equally, that point, the midpoint only is considered as a equilibrium situations. Okay, so in other ways we can tell the supply and the demand will be in equal. Okay, suppose the 10 unit of the commodity is demanded by the people or the consumer, so the 10 unit of the commodity only supplied by the consumer. Okay, then how much amount of the demand is arranged in our society, so on the basis of the demand only the supply will be occurred. Okay, now the supply curve and the demand curve also will be met in the equal point. The equal point is called as equilibrium situations. Okay, here we have to, you can ask one thing, why the demand curve is moving downward and the supply curve is increasing upward, mean the demand curve is always moving downward from up to left to right only. Okay, because the demand is always decrease on the basis of marginal utility. Already I have told one of the example, whenever you want to consume one of the apple, when you are eating first apple, you will get more satisfaction. When you eat second apple, your satisfaction will be decreased. Okay, likewise step by step, if you are increasing your number of apple to eat, then your utility will be decreased. Okay, then utility decrease mean, what is that meaning? The demand for an apple is decreased, right? So that the demand curve will be increased. The supply curve always will be increased from upward, from left to right. Okay, because whenever the supply is increasing, the price of the commodity also will be increased. Okay, so whenever the supply is increasing, the price level also will be increased. The producer always increasing the supply of commodities on the basis of increasing the price level. Okay, so supply always will be upward from left to right. Okay, but in this E situation, the point E is there, the point E only is considered as a equilibrium point. Okay, in this point the supply and the demand always will be in equal. Okay, the price and the quantity demand and supply always will be equal. Okay, in these situations, both the buyer and the seller will not face any loss. Okay. Then how or when the producer and the consumer will get the satisfaction level or the equilibrium level mean? So the consumer's equilibrium occurs when he gets maximum satisfaction. Okay, when he is ready to spend the 10 rupees, and if he consuming some amount of the commodities, and if he get more satisfaction, he will get in equilibrium level. Okay, and the equilibrium of the producer occurs when he gets maximum profit. Okay, when he obtained the 10 rupees, from this 10 rupees, if the producer are being satisfaction, we will consider the producers will be in equilibrium. Okay, and the resources is in equilibrium when it gets full employment. So all the factor of production also will be in equilibrium when he gets the reasonable price or the remunerations for their production activity. Okay. Next, the types of equilibrium. So in these types of equilibrium, so the particular equilibrium and the general equilibrium, two types of the equilibriums are there. Okay. First, particular equilibrium. When equilibrium pertains to a single variable, may be called particular equilibrium. Okay, and when the consumer want to purchasing any one of the single commodities, and if he get the full satisfaction, it is considered as a particular equilibrium. Okay, and the general equilibrium means when the equilibrium relates to numerable variable, or even the economy as a whole may be called as general equilibrium. Okay, so on the basis of demand and supply and investment level, profit level, and what is the money supply, everything, when we are studying about, or when we are analyzing more things, if all the things are having the satisfaction, it is called general equilibrium. Okay. Next, income. So what's the meaning of income? Already you have studied. The income means sum of the amount coming from the selling or producing, right? But in economics, so income represents the amount of monetary or other returns, either earned or unearned, small or big, accruing over a period of time to one economic unit. Okay, so income represents the amount of monetary or other returns, either earned or unearned, or small or big, accruing over a period of time to one economic unit. Okay, so normally, so the producer or the seller want to undertaking the business activity. Okay, when they are doing like that, he can earning some money or in other forms. Another forms mean in the form of document or in of the assets. Okay, or either earned or unearned. Sometimes they will earn or sometimes they will get loss. Okay, in that time he cannot able to earn. So earned and unearned, small or big, occurring over a period of time to one economic unit. Okay, from the economic unit, within a particular time, if the producer or the seller earned in the form of monetary unit or other assets, that is called income, right? So the nominal income refers to income expressed in term of money. It is termed as the money income. Okay, whenever the producer or the seller are earning income in the form of money, that is called real income or the nominal income, or it is termed in the form of money. Okay, and the real income. So real income is the amount of goods that can be purchased with money as income. It is the purchasing power of income, which is based on the rate of inflation. Okay, so even if you are going to the work, or when we are producing any of the commodities, okay, except the money income, we will get some other benefit in the form of remunerations, incentives, and in whatever way we are getting in other forms, that is also considered as a real income. Okay, and it is this real income is the purchasing power of income. Purchasing power of income means when you have the amount of income, you can able to purchasing more commodity. Okay, otherwise how much amount of commodities purchased by you or your income, that is your real income. Okay, when you have the less income and if you can purchasing more commodity mean, that is called the purchasing power of your income is higher. Okay, and when you have more income and you cannot able to purchasing more commodity mean, your income is not more value. Okay, so the real income is also related with the rate of inflation. Okay, and economics and its methods. Okay, now in our economics we are studying or we are analyzing different laws and facts and theories. Okay, so when we are studying the theories and laws, so we have to using different type of the method to analyzing the laws and theories. Okay, so what are the methods are using to analyzing the economic mean? So two type of the method is used to analyzing the economic facts and theories. Okay, first one is deductive method and inductive method. So this deductive method also named as analytical or abstract method. So this deductive method consists in deriving conclusions from the general truth. So the deductive method consists in deriving conclusions from the general truth. Okay, if you want to deriving one of the conclusion, so we have to deduct many general truths. Okay, for the to understand any of the laws, so many of the economists will give many reasons. The reasons also will be as a very fact. Okay, from the many fact, how can we bringing the conclusions? Is analyzed by deductive method. Okay, the deductive method takes few general principles and apply that principles to draw conclusions. Okay, so many of the general principles are taken by the economist, and all the principle is applied them to make as a conclusions. So for example, the demand for the goods. So the demand for the goods is increased or decreased when the price is increased. Okay, so whenever the price is increased, the demand for that commodity will be decreased. Okay, so on the basis of the deductive method, we can bringing the conclusion. So there is the inverse relationship between the price and the demand for the commodity. Okay, next the steps of deductive method. Okay, for analyzing, for using the deductive method, what are the steps we have to use? First, step 1. So the analyst must have a clear and precise idea about the problem to be inquired into. Okay, so the analyst must have a clear and precise idea of the problem. Okay, what we are going to analyzing about the problem. Okay, so we must have a clear and precise idea about the problem. Okay, now if you are going to analyze the reasons between reasons the price of commodity when the demand of commodities increasing in, so we must have a clear and precise idea. Okay, so whatever causes and effect we have to implement, and what we are going to do for drawn the conclusions. Okay, so about the problem, all the idea will be say clear and precise. First we have a clear and precise. Next, the analyst clearly define the technical terms used in the analysis. Okay, Suppose when we are going to analyze one of the problem, we will use some of the technical terms. Okay, so before analyzing or before using the technical terms, so the analyst must clearly defines about the problems. Okay, otherwise some of the readers cannot able to understand, or some of the students or some of the other criticize will not able to understand the technical terms. Okay. Next, deduce hypothesis from the assumption taken. Okay, we must increasing the hypothesis from the assumption taken. Okay, we have taken so many of the assumptions. Okay, from this assumption we have to create some of the hypothesis. Hypothesis means some of the possibility reasons. Okay, now the clouds are threatened. Okay, then we will think so tomorrow the rain will come or not. Okay, like that, by having some of the assumption we have to create some of the hypothesis. Next, last step is hypothesis should be verified. Hypothesis should be verified. This hypothesis is real or fake. Okay, suppose if the hypothesis is fake, mean we can come into the conclusions. Okay, so hypothesis should be verified through direct observations of events in the real world. Okay, now in our real world we will see different type of the reasons. Okay, this reason is possible or not. We know about the reasons whether it is the possibles or impossibles. Okay, so we can verify the hypothesis, and last we can draw one of the conclusion by the statistical method. Okay students, I think it's enough today. So today we have studied some of the equilibrium situations and the deductive method of economic analysis. Okay, so in this situation, in this area, if you have any doubt, please ask me. And your today's study portion is studying about the deductive method. Okay, deductive method and the steps of deductive method. Okay, thank you.